Thank you very much, and good morning, London. Good morning. Thank you. I have the distinct pleasure of opening day 2 for you. You must be wondering why AWS Elemental and why me? Well, I'm from Portland, Oregon. We are 8 hours behind you, but we have the very same weather, so nothing to be envious about. I just wanted to give you a quick tour, a journey into creating deeper engagement with OTT video. And it's kind of an interesting space because we all talk digital. I know everybody here refers to video over the internet, to mobile devices, desktops as digital, or a part of digital. We refer to it as OTT video. But first, why AWS? So you may not be aware of this, but we actually power the video factory that BBC uses that enables you to get faster catch-up on your iPlayer. So BBC has been using AWS for many years now, since the advent of the iPlayer solution, and we are proud to be the technology that powers that. In addition, many of you are probably aware of this brand, 118 million subscribers globally. And Netflix has, from the very beginning, decided to run their entire infrastructure on AWS. So whether it's their subscription management system, their video encoding, their packaging technology, whether it's the data analytics, it's the recommendation engines, they all run on AWS. In fact, Netflix is our largest media and entertainment customer globally. And then more locally here, Channel 4 is obviously a sponsor of, or a co-sponsor of this particular event. But Channel 4, as we know, they spend a lot of time in using data and targeting and personalizing experiences as well as ads to their viewers. And Channel 4 actually runs a lot of the analytics as well as their machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies on AWS. So I think we have a little bit to say in terms of the technology that is powering next generation viewing experiences. And that's kind of where I want to start. So you've all seen many charts like this, which basically state that more and more viewing is happening on devices that are mobile as compared to devices that are fixed. Fixed devices here basically include TVs and PCs, and the oranges and the reds show the mobile devices. So over the last 6 years, you've seen about a 4-hour per week increase in viewing on mobile devices as compared to a 2.5-hour decrease. TV largely being static or stable, but you can see desktops reducing rapidly. But the silver lining on all this for everybody is that total viewing hours are going up. And that's kind of a positive thing, which means we as consumers, but we as providers to consumers of solutions and of content are happy to see this increase. So what does this mean? We believe that OTT video is the new television. That OTT video is television. So I'd like to first set that stage. And I know it's kind of a little bit of maybe a little bold statement for some of you, but we do believe that if you don't look at OTT video as television, and if we don't collectively work to make OTT video as nice from a user experience as television, and maybe even better than television in some aspects, that we're going to be missing the boat. Okay. How can OTT video be better than television as it stands today? Well, I think as consumers, we'll all agree that we many times prefer the convenience, the quality, and the on-demand nature of how we can consume content on our mobile devices, be it our smartphones or our tablets. So as consumers, we do think that we kind of get a better experience. It's a better user interface. And if my network is good, it's not like O2 this morning, but if my network is good, then I'm able to essentially get bufferless streaming. And the technologies are improving so that the quality of the video delivered is also really improving drastically and significantly. So as consumers, we like it. It's on demand, it's whenever I like, and it's on any device. But as suppliers of some kind of content technology and as brands that are essentially going to be advertising to consumers, we also like it because it gives us the ability for a two-way connection. So we can target better, we can understand the consumers better that are consuming content, we can understand what they're consuming, it's more measurable, and we can use all of those capabilities, we believe, to make OTT video the new TV and better than TV. Okay, here are some stats. So let's talk about personalization. So we can use data, we can use metrics, we can essentially get to a point where we are able to understand those consumers better. And the question is, do consumers like it? And there have been many, many studies of this kind, both qualitative and quantitative studies. And this one states that 73% of consumers prefer to do business with brands that take into account their personal information. It's kind of a broad statement. It doesn't say exactly what. It doesn't say that, hey, I like it when you address me by my name. It doesn't say I like it when you follow me around the internet when I've expressed an intent to purchase something. But it basically says that if you do it correctly, if you do it right, and this is another study that McKinsey did, that if you do it right, then your marketing ROI can be 7 to 8 times your return on your marketing dollars, number one. Number two, it can result in about a 10% uplift on sales. Okay? So these are all really good, encouraging numbers. And I'm sure all of us would like to see and like to be able to use this. So what's the hang up? Well, the rub is that actually delivering this content, delivering OTT video the right way, using personal data and personalization the right way, it's a little difficult. It's not that easy. So the first is it's a very complex ecosystem. You know this. I know it even less than you do, but I do know. I've seen these charts over the many years where they have these crazy eye charts with literally thousands of companies on it that go from the consumer all the way back to the publisher and everything in between in terms of ad technology, in terms of marketplaces, in terms of real-time bidding centers, buy-side platforms, sell-side platforms. If you put all that together, it is a very complex ecosystem. It's not as simple as TV is. And TV is relatively simple, where you have your content publisher, you have your marketing agencies, you have your creative agencies, and you have your distributors, by and large. The second is, with conventional TV, you have control on the end user experience because you're either controlling the technology from an end-to-end perspective or the technology is fairly standardized and doesn't change a lot. Well, with OTT video, the technology curve is driven by the device manufacturers. So every 12 months, there's a new phone that they want you to buy. There's a new television. There was HD, then there was HD HDR, now 4K, and now we're talking about 8K. There's always that evolution. So technology is being driven not by the service provider or the broadcaster. It's being driven by the device manufacturers, which leads to a lot of new devices with a lot of different capabilities that make the whole delivery of a nice user experience difficult. The third is standard formats or streaming formats. There are many different streaming formats. And whilst this is actually can be seen and you say, this is a bad thing, why are there so many streaming formats? Well, the reality is it's actually a good thing. This is how technology evolves, right? So a streaming format comes into place, people use it, and then a couple of years later, guess what? We discover things that can be done better, so a new streaming format is introduced. And then a new streaming format is introduced. And then over time, the old ones, they peter out as new devices come into place that don't support the old formats, et cetera. So you can see here, there are quite a few different streaming formats. And if you're trying to reach your audience, which is across all of these different devices that are using these different streaming formats, you need to be able to support these formats. The fourth challenge, ad fraud. Okay. Now, it's not something which we, from a technology perspective, can necessarily solve, We can contribute a little bit towards the solution, but with online, with OTT video, ad fraud is becoming significant. And ad fraud in terms of two areas. One is in terms of inventory that is virtual, that's not really real, that as advertisers they are paying for, but they're not getting the benefit of the eyeballs. Secondly is invalid traffic, which is bots that are essentially, increasing the click-through numbers and the actual viewing numbers, but there's no human being that's watching it. And then finally, there's ad blocking. So on these devices, there are ad blockers, there are software. It's essentially it's like the security game, the hacking game that goes on. Hackers get one step ahead, they hack something, then there's a security fix that's issued, then they go a step and hack something else, security fix issued. So it's that leapfrog game that happens in technology, in internet technology, and that will continue to happen as well with OTT video. So ad blocking, people install ad blockers on their devices. The ad blockers are sniffing which domains you're hitting, and then they know a set of known domains where advertising is either delivered from or it is measured from, and they block those domains. And it's the worst case for you when they block the measurement, because as publishers, you have inventory, the ad is delivered against that inventory, but the measurement is blocked, so you don't get credit for that particular view. So we kind of take all of these different elements, and we've put together a set of solutions that we believe are today state-of-the-art in terms of helping you deliver OTT video with targeted advertising and targeted content. So it starts with the content source, which is either your playout center or a truck out there in the stadium that's sending its feed. Essentially goes into it's sent into the cloud. Now this is something which is a technology domain here, which is SCUDdy 35 markers or 104 markers that are marking the parts in the content stream that's coming in as to where ads can be played. Goes into the cloud, where we are able to transcode it into a different set of formats so that you can support the different network conditions and different resolutions of different screens that consumers will consume the content on. Then goes into a packaging element, which creates all of the different packaging formats I mentioned, like HLS and Dash and smooth streaming and CMAF and RTMP, etc. Once it's there, now it's ready to be delivered. And the delivery then happens based on the devices. So the devices request content through Media Tailor. Media Tailor is our server-side ad insertion solution. So what it does is it's highly scalable, it's robust, and it's capable of providing TV-like experiences on every single interaction with a consumer. What does that mean? That means when a consumer accesses content, it's able to deliver the content to the consumer through a personalized manifest. A manifest is the technology that's used to inform the player as to what content to pull down and what ads to pull down. And it's that manifest that has the information in it which ad blockers use to block off the ads, because they know that you're pulling down an ad because of the domain that you're addressing through that manifest. So Media Tailor will disguise that and serve it up as content. So if they block, they actually block off the content as well. They aren't able to then overcome that. So users will then uninstall the blockers because they actually want to see the content, and now they're also consuming the ads. Have to is a bad word, but they have to consume the ads, which means it's the ad agencies and your work then to ensure that those ads are engaging and that the ad decision server is doing the right job in specifying what ads need to get played out for this particular viewer, because it's going to engage that viewer. It's about something that the viewer has expressed interest in, or based on their behavior, it's expected that they would be interested in. Okay? So this interaction between Media Tailor and the ad decision server, which could be Freewheel, Google DoubleClick, any of those technologies that you have in your environment as a publisher, or as likely as a publisher. So that interaction goes through a standard approach which is specified by the Interactive Advertising Bureau called VAST. So when we do that, what this means is that Media Tailor can now fit into that complex ecosystem. So it doesn't disrupt that complex ecosystem. It doesn't force you to create a new complex ecosystem. It can fit into the existing ecosystem, which then really enables you to leverage all of the other work that's gone on in your digital world to engage with that ecosystem, whether that's your relationships with marketplaces, with real-time buyers, with buy-side platforms, et cetera. That all just fits in because it's through a standards approach. Media Tailor also will pull down the ad that's specified by this ad decision server for a specific user or interaction. It'll pull down the ad, the best mezzanine format of the ad that it can get from the ad server, from the creative ad server. It'll then transcode the ad, which means it'll convert it into formats that the viewer is currently viewing on their device. So the resolution, the bit rate, the quality, et cetera, so that it's a TV-like experience. So we don't want to give a worse experience to viewers. We want to give them a better experience. And the better, so at a minimum, we got to match the quality of TV, which we all agree is pretty good. But we want to enhance that with the personalization aspect of advertising. Media Tailor can also actually personalize content because it's all about delivering personalized manifest. So, but in today's talk, we'll just focus on ads since that's kind of where we are today. Okay, so this solution is available today, this entire solution. These are building blocks that you can utilize. You can plug in other building blocks if these don't work for you. And the best thing is that many of our customers are now have launched using these building blocks, hundreds of channels of 24/7 content. So some of these are what we call born in the cloud virtual MVPDs or vMVPDs. So these are customers who don't have any ground infrastructure and have decided from the very get-go that their focus is the content, the aggregation, and the user experience, and that they'll utilize the best technologies out there on a pay-as-you-go basis to do the undifferentiated heavy lifting so they can focus on their differentiation. Okay? So people like Spool, Stars Play, Gulpila, this is like a Norwegian soccer team that's connecting with its fans in a lot more personalized way. Pac-12, and there's a whole host. There are hundreds of our customers today who are currently deployed hundreds of channels of 24/7, as well as Pac-12 as an example has 7 channels deployed 24/7, distributed globally. They have deals where they're distributing basketball to China and American football to Australia, et cetera, and all of that distribution of content is done using our services, and they are personalizing it through Media Tailor to actually make sure the ads are being personalized. They also do 850 live events. Now, the thing with the live events, which some of you will call pop-up channels, are that you can bring it up and bring it down, and you only pay for the 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours that event is up. And it's a very easy way for you to utilize this capability. I want to talk briefly about Fubo. Some of you may have heard of Fubo. They're also a virtual MVPD. They aggregate and distribute over 600 live channels, 24/7 live channels, primarily in the US. And they're using Media Tailor to do personalized ad insertion across all of their 600 channels. It's all in the cloud, and it's pay as you go, and they're doing millions of ad insertions every day, and they're not paying that much money, I just want you to know. So it's a pretty inexpensive proposition. And then I want to talk briefly about Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime uses the AWS stack to run there, and this is the standard GA stack that all of our other customers use. And they do Thursday Night Football. They use Media Live, Media Package, that whole chain I showed you, as well as Media Tailor to do ad insertion. And it's millions of impressions going on simultaneously that they are using through this. So the best part about Media Tailor, it scales automatically. You don't have to worry about or know exactly, am I going to get 1,000 users or 100,000 users? The infrastructure scales, we manage all of that scalability. And then just to add to that, we have, looking forward, the ability to use machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies, again available as standard technology services and building blocks, to even further enhance and optimize these targeted experiences. These are some things that you're probably aware of, but Sky News did the royal wedding where they used celebrity face recognition and a personalized experience where if you could essentially on your mobile phone on the desktop, you could see as people were entering the chapel, you could see who was entering and some kind of 100-word biography on them, et cetera, et cetera. So there was just a lot of, and all of that was done using machine learning technology. So there was no human that was identifying these. Formula One is using AI again in the cloud. This is all done in the cloud. They're uploading over 100 censored data from each car, sensor points from each car into the cloud, doing real-time analysis and presenting that as enhanced fan experiences, information regarding cornering, speed, angles of cornering, all of that stuff, which as a F1 fan, I'm sure people really enjoy. And then finally, you can use, and we are showing this today to many of our customers, AI/ML tools for contextual ads. So and these are the building blocks. You essentially have video that's being streamed 24/7. It's identifying objects in that video, which you can see here, all the objects that are identified with different levels of confidence. The audio is then sent separately to Transcribe, which is a service that takes audio and converts it into text. The text is then, you can translate it into different languages if you so desire. And finally, that text is sent to Amazon Comprehend, which then delivers a sentiment analysis on that text. So basically here you can see it's mostly positive sentiment based on what's going on. So you can do this real time, you can do this in batch. So you can take your ads and you can run them through this process. So you understand the sentiment of the ads and the objects, etc. You can take your content and do your pre-programmed content, or you can take your live content and do it, and then you can do the matching and deliver. And all of that can be done by using AI and ML without human interaction. So that's all I had for today. I really appreciate your attention. And thank you very much.
Just stand over there. We will take an audience question. We've got time, and if you can have a quick think of the question, and then we'll have someone hand out a mic. In the meantime, the NFL thing that you mentioned on Amazon Prime, how well did that perform compared to sort of regular TV? So I know that was a criticism in the past.
Well, so this is the second year that Amazon Video is doing NFL Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
And they've essentially fine-tuned the service. So a couple things. The latency was one of the concerns of this service because, it's live sports. Amazon Video was able to fine-tune the technology how they're using the technology to get down to cable and satellite levels of latency. So it's a little bit behind broadcast.
Yeah.
It's a few seconds behind broadcast, not tens of seconds, a few seconds. And in addition, though, they're delivering a really high-quality user experience just from a perspective of the video quality, the user experience, and the lack of buffering. So.
Well, it's hard for Amazon to compete with sort of traditional TV networks, isn't it, on these sports rights? Because I think in the US, it's like 30% of homes don't have the internet. Is that right? So reach is kind of a tricky proposition for OTT to get these sports rights, particularly when they're sold against advertising.
Yeah, I don't think it's that high, honestly, Justin. But
yeah. I'll check the stats.
It depends on the bitrate you're looking at.
Yeah.
But remember that the distribution of all this content is global. So Amazon Video does distribute NFL globally.
It's a good point. And since you work with Netflix, do you have any inside information whether they're going to start serving ads?
Whenever we ask them, they say not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Does anyone have a quick question? Dave here at the front.
Yes, there's a question from the back. Yeah, you can't see me in the light. I'm over here.
Oh, hello.
So my name is Matthias. I'm running one of the sports SVOD services in Scandinavia. Thank you for a very interesting presentation. However, there was one topic I was missing. You were talking about streaming sports. And one of the major issues with streaming sport is the latency, i.e. the delayed signal over OTT. How do you handle that? That was not addressed in your presentation.
Yeah, so technically we've got two solutions for that. What we call low latency and ultra low latency. So low latency, we can use standard technologies today in the internet, which is essentially HTTP delivery. And we can use 1 second segments. If you bring your segment size down to 1 second, we've demonstrated glass-to-glass latencies in the order of 5 or 6 seconds, which is pretty good. I think it matches cable. It's better than cable satellite. It's slightly slower than, or probably in the same realm as broadcast. Of course, if you insert your beeping function, then that adds additional latency. Then there's ultra low latency, which you can actually use as a new technology coming out called chunked CMAF, which allows you to essentially take that segment and further chunk it up. And you can start the playback of that content as you receive that chunk. With chunked CMAF, which we call ultra low latency, you can get down to under 3 seconds of latency from a glass-to-glass perspective. So there are technologies using standards approaches that can do this.
Okay, quickly, Dave.
Yeah. Dave Morgan from Simul Media. Thank you. Wonderful, very powerful presentation. Given the power of your media tailor product, and I sort of look at that schematic, would there even be a reason for third-party ad servers? Because it would seem to me you can actually deliver a much more integrated experience than having a separate video ad server in the process.
Well, so the ad decision server, I guess, is what you're talking. So if you look at the technology, there are many components. I have down there the ad decision server. That's your freewheel and your Google DoubleClick. And the reason that those are important is because they actually make the decision and aggregate data from various places. Now, you can use AWS to actually do your analytics and feed that data to the ad decision engine. But many of our customers today are already pretty well entrenched with using these ad servers for making those decisions. So we wanted to fit into that environment. So Media Tailor, what it does is it does manifest manipulation at scale. So it's able to actually take the decision from the ad server and do all of the heavy lifting to actually make sure that the right ad is delivered in the right quality to that particular consumer in a seamless way. So there is a differentiation, a difference between the two in terms of functionality as well as in terms of how it fits into the current existing architectures of our customers.
Okay, wonderful. Let's give Aslam a massive hand. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.